You are recruited as a maid to work for the great demon king Jungkook in his castle. You tried hard to escape, but his assistant Kim Taehyung, a vampire, forcefully took you to their castle. There you met Park Jimin, Jungkook's another assistant. If Taehyung is sassy, Jimin is a pervert, whereas the king Jungkook is known as to be cold, but not with you. He becomes soft only for you, but even a single rule made by him is disobeyed, then he gives serious punishments. You are also obliged to follow his rules. You are super scared of him because sometimes he is a cutie pie doing ego and the next moment he is ready to kill you. By enough, you are getting used to him. Good morning, Your Majesty. Please let go. I have to do my task, you said, nudging his arm with your finger. Jungkook gripped onto your waist tighter, almost seeming possessive. Today is Friday, your day off, YN. You laid there, trying your best not to move as Jungkook moved his face back into your neck. But he had to just do this one thing that set you off. He licked your neck. Without any hesitation, you basically flung yourself away from him, tearing your body out of his grasp as you fell on the floor with a loud thud. What is your problem? Jungkook asked arrogantly. Why would you do that? You yelled, trying your best to control your red face, but it wasn't working. I obviously wanted to start something, duh. Please don't be that dense, Jungkook said, rolling his eyes at you. He quickly grabbed your arm, somehow pulling your entire body back up on the bed. He pushed you down onto the bed, digging his face back into your neck. God, how do you have such soft skin? It's like no one has ever even gave you a hickey either. You are just so sensitive, Jungkook stated, running his lips over your shoulder. You tried to push him off you, not wanting to be in this situation. Suddenly you felt Jungkook lightly bite down on your neck, making you let out a small whimper. Found it, he said huskily, starting to suck on your soft spot on your neck. Jungkook, Your Majesty, I don't think we should be doing this, you whispered, trying not to let your desires take control of your actions. Just calm down and enjoy this. It's not like I'm going to do much, unless you want me to. That's it, Jungkook said darkly, now biting at the same spot. Your nails dig into your palms as you tried to hold your mules in. You didn't want him to know that you were actually enjoying this. Then soon, someone knocked the door and asked for the king. Jungkook immediately took off without speaking a word to you. You felt sad by his behavior, but this is not new to you. Later that day, you were called to serve drinks to the king, who was currently playing in the gaming room with his friends. Well, I think it's been quite a long time since I have gotten to have some fun, Tae said, looking at you. That doesn't make any sense. The loser doesn't get the prize, you know this, Jungkook said, hitting Taehyung in the back of the head. Taehyung gasped loudly, having a shocked face. Did you just hit your Hyung? You little man, Taehyung said, leaping at Jungkook and tackling him to the ground. Say you're sorry, Taehyung yelled, choking Jungkook, while Jungkook was just trying to remove his hands. No, if you didn't act like such a child, I would respect my Hyung more, Jungkook defended. All of this over a small slap to the back of the head? I swear to God, I'll snap your neck if you don't say sorry. Respect me, you little piece of rabbit, Taehyung roared, tightening his grip on Jungkook's throat. Do it, I won't die and you know it, Jungkook said, giving Taehyung a grin. Aren't you supposed to be stronger than him? I call you muscle pig for a reason, Yoongi said in complete boredom. Help me, Hyung, Jungkook shouted, starting to kick his feet in order to hurt Taehyung. Okay, in split seconds, a glass bottle was thrown right at the wall next to you, shattering and making some small cuts on your arm. Blood started to seep little by little as you held your arm and glared at Yoongi. Then you heard the two arguing men go silent as the rest of the men in the room started to snicker. Taehyung stared at you with such intensity, it actually scared you. Hyung, I know you're not that stupid. Why would you do that? Jungkook shouted, now gripping onto Taehyung's arm so that he wouldn't go after you. Just let him go, I'll handle the situation, Yoongi said. Jungkook listened, letting go of Taehyung. Then you were pushed up against the wall in a millisecond with your cut arm in the hand of Taehyung. Your Highness, please let go. You spoke softly, his grip starting to hurt your arm. Not even paying attention to you, Taehyung dug his teeth into your arm, causing you to let out a cry in pain. It felt terrible at first, but the pain was bearable for the most part as you stayed unmoving. Okay, snack time over, buddy, Yoongi said quietly, levitating Taehyung into the air as the two small holes in your arms dropped a little bit of blood. Taehyung was basically fighting in the air to get to you, but he had no success. You felt another pair of eyes burning into your arm, and it was Hoseok. You looked at him worriedly, wanting to run out of the room. Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. I can control myself better than Taehyung. I won't go all crazy wolf on you or anything, Hoseok said, giving you a small smirk. Jungkook, take her to your room and get her fixed up. Or take her to her room, I could care less. Just get her healed. We don't need any unhealthy mates here, Yoongi said, shooing Jungkook out of the room with you. Jungkook roughly grabbed your other arm, huffing out as he dragged you towards his room. Give me your arm, he said rudely. You extended your arm to him, wondering what the hell he was about to do. You watched as a purple watery-like substance had summoned up over your arm, taking out tiny pieces of glass and healing the wounds. You were honestly in a way. There, now go somewhere else, Jungkook said. Yes, Your Majesty, you said, bowing and taking your leave. And thank you, you told him, walking completely out of the room before he could say anything back to you. Wyan, just the person I was looking for, you heard the all-familiar voice. You walked faster, trying to avoid Jimin. Of course, he caught up to you though, putting a hand on your left shoulder. Hey, don't move away from me. You're supposed to respect your helper, Jimin said rudely. Will you just leave me alone for 3 seconds? You asked him, staring at him with hatred. Well, if you didn't act like such a child, I wouldn't have to keep an eye on you. A child? Excuse me, but who in the hell do you think you are to call me a child? You can't even say much yourself, you said, obviously annoyed. Then a smirk made its way onto Jimin's face. You don't think you act like a child? He asked. You slowly lost all confidence talking to him, but you still tried your best to stand your ground. No, not even in the slightest, you stated, sending a glare his way while crossing your arm. Prove it to me, he said, sneering at you. Then a wicked idea popped in your head. You want me to prove it to you? Okay, Jimin, I'll prove it to you. Being called a child has always bothered you, and you were sure you were more mature than he was. You quickly grabbed him by his shirt, pushing him up against the wall closest to you. Jimin stared down at you with shock, but he also looked to be enjoying himself. Still think I act like a child? You asked him sensually, biting at his earlobe. Jimin's breath hitched as he gripped your waist, something you weren't expecting. Not at all, he answered lowly. You immediately tried to get out of this situation, losing every ounce of confidence you had in you and wanting nothing more than to crawl in a hole, but he didn't let go of you. I think we should take this somewhere else, he informed, causing your heart rate to spike. You didn't want this. You were just trying to mess with him so he would agree that you didn't act like a child or weren't one anyways. Jimin, what the hell do you think you're doing? An infuriated Jungkook shouted. Jimin immediately let go of you, staring wide-eyed at Jungkook. You looked over at him, worry taking off your features as you bowed down quickly. Stand straight, Jungkook said, looking at you. You slowly looked up, looking straight at his eyes as you saw that they were glowing deep red. Jimin, what are you not supposed to do? Jungkook shouted, giving him a death glare. Touch your property in a crude manner. And what did you do? I did exactly that, Jimin answered quietly because of how scared he was at the moment. Jungkook had never yelled at him in his 300 years of being here. Come here, Jungkook said, pointing directly in front of himself. Jimin shuffled over to him, his head hung low. Jungkook grabbed him by the throat and lifted him up in the air, quickly throwing him down to the ground. You heard a crack ripple throughout the hallway, causing you to flinch and Jimin to cry out in pain. What do you think you were doing, huh? Breaking more and more rules? Thinking you better than the other mates in this castle? What? Do you think I won't hesitate to hurt you just because you're a girl? No, Your Highness, you said quietly, looking down at the ground. Do you think you can just go around and feel upon my men whenever you want to? No, Your Highness, you answered again. Then what's the reason for doing so? Jimin told me I acted like a child. I don't like being told that, so I was offended. So he asked if I thought I acted like a child, and I said no, and he wanted me to prove it to him. I did so. You informed the enraged king. Well, as your punishment, you get to choose out of the three. Feel like you're drowning, burning, or electrocuted. Jungkook stated, glaring at you. Electrocuted? You questioned, not really knowing what to choose. You definitely didn't want to feel like you were drowning. That would be terrible. Electrocution it is, Jungkook said wickedly, snapping his fingers. Before you could even blink, pain ripples through your body and you felt like you were getting knives thrown at all angles of your body. You let out a loud scream in pain, falling down to the floor and clutching your body. But you had refused yourself to cry. You hated crying in front of others. Then the pain stopped. You let out a loud breath, struggling to breathe afterwards. Seems like we have a tough one, Jungkook informed himself, picking you up in bridal style. What are you doing? You asked shakily, trying to move an inch. I'm taking you to my red room. Nothing else seems to work on you. And since you say you're not a child, I'm really about to find that out. Jungkook didn't say anything as he set you down on a soft bed, tying a silk fabric over your eyes. You're going to learn to respect me. If that means that I'm going to have to take you to this room every day to even have the slightest respect of me myself, then so be it. You heard his footsteps walking closer to you. He pushed you down on the bed, tying your hands. Please, I don't know what you're going to do, but I have a bad feeling, Your Majesty, you told him, trying to get your wrist out of the restraints. It's a good thing to be scared. I haven't been in this room in 2 weeks, so my needs have been neglected. Not to mention, you seems like someone who likes it rough. He whispered next to your ear. You started to squirm more, fearing him more than ever. No, please, Your Majesty, don't do this. His hands gripped your waist roughly, making you stop moving completely. Jungkook slid his hands down to the bottom of your hoodie dress, pulling it up slowly. Wow, even the lace stinks. Do you secretly want this or something? You felt embarrassed since he was seeing your body. Then you felt something drag up your abdomen and it kind of felt like it was made of leather. Then Jungkook cracked the whip on your stomach, making you arch your back in pain. It's either you choose to be whipped 3 times or have me have my own ways with you for 10 minutes. I choose the whip. So you're a... Huh? No, I just don't want to find out what your 10 minutes of fun means, Your Majesty, you admitted, preparing yourself for the pain. Okay then, I want you to count every hit. Don't worry, I won't hurt you too bad. Crack. 1, you said, feeling the impact of the whip against your bare skin. It wasn't terrible because he wasn't hitting you that hard, but it still kind of hurt. 2, you seethed, feeling the impact more because he hit harder. 3, you said breathlessly, your abdomen burning in pain. Such an obedient girl. I wish you wouldn't break so many rules. I could treat you so well with your little obedient personality. Then he undid your blindfold and you finally got to see the red room. You would wish he would put the blindfold back on. There were so many tools in there, you honestly didn't know what to look. Like what you see? Jungkook asked next to your ear. Yes, no, you stuttered, still looking around the room. One day, you will never get tired of my red room, he said, biting at your earlobe, just like you had done to Jimin. Now leave and go to your room. Yes, Your Majesty, you quickly said, pulling your hoodie dress over your head and getting off the bed.